We are going to record the first portion of this because I have some background information and I want to make sure that this gets recorded so we can put it on the YouTube channel eventually. But when we get to the discussion portion, we'll stop the recording so that way folks can feel empowered to have a full conversation without feeling like they need to censor themselves. Does that sound good to everyone? Okay, I've got some thumbs up. Great. Excellent. Well, thank you all for joining us today for the NWACUHO First Friday webinar, Navigating the Crossroads, the Future of DEI Work in the Wake of Challenges and Setbacks. The slides today are a teal with varying circles and ovals in pink, purple, orange, and yellow. There are two purple handprints on the top and on the bottom of the text. On this slide, there are two drawings of people waving their right hands at the camera. There is a masculine Black person seated in a wheelchair and a feminine person wearing a headscarf standing behind them. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Allie Gary. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the NWACUHO Diversity, Engagement, and Inclusion Director. So thank you all for being here. This slide and the next two slides feature a feminine Black person with long black hair waving their left arm at the camera. They're taking up the left side of the screen. Let's dive into some background about what sparked this webinar specifically. Many folks may be aware that in January, Florida's Board of Governors signed Regulation 9.016 in accordance with the Senate Bill 266. Basically, this bans the use of state funds for DEI programs and prohibits tax money from being used to fund political or social activism. In March, the University of Florida eliminated 13 full-time positions related to DEI, and Florida International University also eliminated its DEI program. The University of Texas, Austin has eliminated around 60 staff positions focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion in their latest effort to comply with the SB 17, which is a new law banning Texas public universities from having DEI programs and trainings that went into effect on January 1st. In January, the University of Texas, Austin closed its Multicultural Engagement Center and shut down Monarch, a program that offered support and scholarships to undocumented students. Texas Senate Committee on Education is going to conduct a hearing next month where the university chancellors have been asked to give updates on how they're eliminating DEI initiatives in accordance with SB 17. They also, on the 2nd of this month, so earlier this week, announced that they are closing the Division of Campus and Community Engagement and have continued to lay off employees who worked on and within DEI work on their campus. So this slide and the next feature 3 circles with images representing each state listed below. So we're going to have Alabama, Idaho, North Dakota, South Dakota, Tennessee, and Utah. Alabama, the Republican Senator Will Barfoot introduced Senate Bill 129. This bill will prohibit the state's public colleges and universities from promoting, sponsoring, or maintaining DEI offices and programs. It will additionally prohibit public institutions from affirming certain diverse concepts relating to race, sex, or religion. The original version of this bill in the Senate passed just 2 days after it was introduced, and then it was an amended version that was passed in the House on March 7th. The Senate approved the changes on March 19th, and it was signed into law by Governor Kay Ivey on March 20th. For Alabama, this law specifically is going to go into effect on October 1st. In Idaho, Senate Bill 1274 bans diversity statements in hiring and admissions decisions. This includes any written or oral statement that discusses an applicant or candidate's race, sex, color, ethnicity, or sexual orientation, or their views or experience with or contributions to DEI. North Dakota, Senate Bill 2247 was signed into law last year in April, where students, professors, and other employees of higher education institutions cannot be asked about their ideological or political viewpoints. Additionally, public institutions cannot conduct mandatory training that includes specified concepts like the belief that an individual, by virtue of the individual's race or sex, is inherently privileged, racist, sexist, or oppressive, whether consciously or subconsciously. South Dakota has House Bill 1012 that was signed into law in March 2022. This bill targets divisive concepts, but does not restrict professors from teaching these subjects. Instead, it prohibits mandatory training or orientation about these concepts. In Tennessee, divisive concepts were banned from teaching lessons under state law in 2022 and include beliefs that Tennessee or the United States is fundamentally or irredeemably racist or sexist, and that an individual should feel discomfort, guilt, or anguish or another form of psychological distress solely because of the individual's race or sex. Under the House Bill 1376, students and employees can report professors who teach divisive concepts at their institutions, and this was passed in May of 23. The Senate Bill 102 that was passed in May of 23 prohibits the institutions of higher education from firing faculty members or employees for refusing to participate in implicit bias training. Utah has the House Bill 261 that states public colleges in Utah will be prohibited from engaging in discriminatory practices, including the assertion that socio-political structures are inherently a series of power relationships and struggles among racial groups, and that an individual, by virtue of the individual's personal identity, characteristics, bears responsibility for actions committed in the past by other individuals with the same personal identity characteristics. These are just a few examples of what legislation has been passed over the last few years. On this slide, we have two people smiling and waving. The androgynous Black person waves with their right hand, and the white feminine person waves with their left hand. So how will this impact other states? So this slide features a screenshot highlighting the states where anti-DEI legislation has been proposed. The Chronicle actually has been following all of this legislation. So there are 82 bills in 28 states and within US Congress. 13 have final legislative approval. 12 have been signed into law by a governor, and 33 have been tabled or failed to pass. As a result, institutions are closing their multicultural and LGBTQIA+ centers, which is making it difficult to have information and resources on topics ranging from financial aid to sexual assault, and are banning college staff from working on those issues. These anti-DEI bills look to prohibit colleges from having any DEI offices or staff, ban mandatory diversity training, ban the use of diversity statements in hiring staff, and to ban the use of race or ethnicity in admissions decisions. Okay. I'm going to stop recording if I can figure out how to do that. There we go.